How are we? Hi, Lucky Lokish. Hi. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, my ghouls. How are we today? Yeah. Let's do that there. Oh, hope you guys are ready for a fun time today. I hope so. I'm excited to share with you one of my favorite all-time horror directors. Hello, Sick Nasty Ant. Good morning, Lament. Hi, Hundar. How are we? Rainy, good morning. Good morning, Deadwalk. How are we? Oh my goodness, you guys are up here so early. Awesome. Macabre, hello. Good morning, Super Mario 8-bit. How are we doing, guys? How are we? How is everybody? Hopefully we are having a good time. Just trying to make sure we're not hearing me twice anywhere. You know what I mean? But how are we today? How was everybody's weekend? I know it's Sunday. It's friggin' snowing here. I'm just gonna tell you guys that it is friggin' snowing here. Like crazy. Hi, Donnie. How are you? How are we? Okay, everything looks friggin' delicious over here. Yeah. Shut the front door. Oh, thank you, Rainy. That's my CCOH one. I like to keep CCOH separate than my gaming streams, right? But I appreciate that. Thank you. And I made that myself, really, the whole thing except for the template video. Yeah. I am fabulous. You want snow? It's better not snow here in a week. Wow. Okay, listen to this shenanigans. It was 20 degrees Celsius. 20 degrees Celsius yesterday. We were out in the yard. I know Heavy posted pics of me hanging out with dogs because it was a doggy good time yesterday. And I wake up this morning and I'm like, the fuck is this white shit? It's plus 2 degrees and it's plus 2 degrees and it's snowing. And I'm like, what is happening here? Hi, Kirby. How are you? How are you doing? It should melt soon. I'm not overly like worried about that. It should disappear. I am fabulous, 8-bit. I am doing fabulous. Thank you so very much for asking. But it will melt. We just had a snowstorm a few days ago, remember? And it all just melted. Now we have a new one happening. Obviously, it's not going to last long, but it's still here. Like, what kind of shit is that? You know what I mean? You had heavy rain over here on Long Island for around an hour at 8 p.m. It rained. Sounds like it wanted to break through my window. Yeah, well, yeah, but that's the funny thing, Macabre, about here. We can get snow in May. So that is, yeah. We always have to wait to May long weekend before we know whether or not we're actually getting summer. That's how it rock and rolls here in Alberta. Gotta love it. 26 here the other day too. Damn, that's nice. That's nice. I was at a remote on Thursday and the bottom just fell out. Oh shit, really, Macabre? That is not good. Ra lives in the land of always winter. Yeah, like I said, if I was to ever move to the US, I would definitely want to be in a place that is warm and doesn't have any issues. It looks fantastic. I love both of those starting school. Oh, I appreciate that, Rainy. Thank you. I had the music made for me by a music creator. They created the music for the cosplay, also for my 2 starting screens. I actually had, years ago, I paid somebody to do those for me. Oh, Mr. Paul and Loki. So my news story to tell you guys, what is your favorite William Castle gimmick? Oh my goodness. All of them, Fabio, all of them. I wish I was around to be in the theater that he was doing this in. because they were all amazing. I really love Macabre 1958, where he was handing out stuff, but we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. If you're here for Coffee Chat of Horrors, that's going to start in a few minutes. I like to talk and welcome everybody in, and then we dive into our CCOH. Thank you for your Pontypool review. I will post you a comment on that video with my impressions about the movie. Thank you, Kirby. Well, thank you for recommending it on the YouTube channel. I don't mind doing reviews if you recommend them. I love doing them. Plus, I get to see a movie that I have not seen. So Pontypool, I have never seen. I heard of it, but I never seen it. I appreciate that, Rainey. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So you know how my cats hate Loki, right? So Heavy and I have decided to force the kitties and the dogs to love each other. So I brought them upstairs now, and I have them all in one room, and it's a little crazy, but today is a little easier than it was yesterday. Pixie, look at that evil. If you guys want to check your evil across the platforms, if you're on Kick, you can do exclamation point evil in the chat as well. And you're able to check how evil you are today. Same thing in YouTube if you want to do that. And on Twitch, exclamation point evil. Maeve, how are you? Good day. I'm rather impartial. I fucking love the Tingler. Oh my God, Fabio, I love the Tingler. It's one of my favorite William Castle films. But one of his gimmicks that I really enjoyed was the Macabre. And we'll get into that one. Oh, look at Heavy's evil today is 665%. Hey, baby. The Tingler is great, man. I have lots to say about that. William Castle is one of my favorite horror directors, and I know not a lot of people know who he is just because of the era that he is from and when he passed away. However, man, he did some shit. He broke some boundaries. He was doing things nobody else was doing, and he was out around the same time as Alfred Hitchcock, right? But yes, I'm having my coffee today. We're having a McDonald's espresso roast. I bought these little pods from my coffee maker. Not as good as some of the other coffees I've had, but it's not bad for an every 1% evil. Deadwalk, what in the world? So Deadwalk did evil over on YouTube, and they got 1%. There's our first 1%er. Even Speedy asked, didn't Speedy ask, has anybody ever got a 1%? Deadwalk. I was going to ask if he was related to Nick Castle. No. He actually has his real name, William Castle. Is a different name for him, but he was born with a different name, well, different last name, I should say. I'm part of the elite club now. Yeah, the 1 to 2%ers, because didn't Pixie get a 2%? Yeah. I'm scared of you now, right? 1%. He does have a daughter, though. And there is a really good sort of like documentary on William Castle, the king of the gimmicks, the godfather of the gimmick, right? On YouTube. It interviews his daughter, John Waters, and a few other people that have worked with William Castle. Pixie at 2%. Evil is the least believable thing ever, right? 274 is great. 274 is great. I got to see what my evil is. I found about William Castle through John Waters. John Waters. Who doesn't love John Waters, right? That's awesome, Fabio. That's great. Let me see what my evil is up to today. Ooh, 573%. What's bullshit? 31% horniness? Oh, no, I do call that bullshit, but let me see what mine is right about meow. 238. Our Lord and Savior, John Waters. Maybe we'll do a thing on John Waters as well. I think a lot of these people that were doing things before horror was even real horror need more attention. Meet you in the van. I do believe they need more attention, more know about. Enjoy your lurk, Handar. Enjoy your lurk. Super Mario, how are you doing today? Serial Mom would be awesome to cover. I love Serial Mom. Serial Mom's a good movie. I'd have to look into it to see how much behind the scenes there is with Serial Mom, but Kathleen Turner did amazing with that one. If you guys haven't seen Serial Mom, it is a horror comedy about a mother who's a serial killer. She protects her children at all costs. It's a good movie. What is it, 90s? I want to say it's the 90s. I don't think it was the 80s. I want to say it was the 90s when it came out. Serial Mom is epic. Yeah, I own that shit on DVD because it's a great fucking movie. Yeah, 92ish. I thought it was in the 90s. Someone goes in the van, and then you hear kiki, right? Jason appears. 1994. Nice. Thank you. Yeah, it's a good movie if anyone is looking for something that you haven't seen yet. I did release my review on Pontypool. It's a Canadian independent horror film. If you haven't heard of that either, you can go and check it out. I asked people on my YouTube channel, I asked the community over there, what movie should I review? And Kirby's 100 said Pontypool. I've never seen Pontypool before. It's actually a pretty brilliant film. Yeah, the way they take on the way they take on the zombie genre. I don't think I've ever seen it been done like this before. So it's pretty brilliant if you're interested in indie sci-fi horror-esque films. Shocked, I'd say. We've had a couple of good movies tonight. The first, which is based off of the book and the video game of the same name. Right, Maeve? Pontypool. I really enjoyed Pontypool. I thought it was really well done. It might be too highbrow for some people. I definitely understand that there are some people that did not like Pontypool, which is fine, to each their own. So it's Parasite Eve. Nice, Darkbreaker. Nice. So that's a movie for today in the Discord. So if anybody is lurking around the shadows today and you want something to do, around 1 p.m. Mountain Time, Darkbreaker will be hosting a movie, sometimes a double feature in the Discord if you are interested. Let's see, what time is it? All right, let's dive into it. I'm excited. I need to talk about William Castle some more. So let's dive into it. We also have the trailer for the Tingler and the House on Haunted Hill, which is what he's known for. I will give you some movies that he's also, his top 4 movies that he is known for, but he's also a producer and director. Mischief Maker, good day, good day. How are you? Before we dive in, I'm just gonna wait for Mischief. Oh, open up. You good? That's awesome. I'm good. We have snow, Mischief. Snow. I'm telling you, I'm swearing right now. I'm telling you, we have snow. And it's disgusting. It's not going to last long, though. It's only 2 degrees. There will be food and drink and ghosts. That there will be. But yeah, let's dive into it.
Who likes scary movies and coffee?
The following show is based on research on horror movies and what goes on behind the scenes of your favorite scary movies. HORDE Entertainment or ReAnimateHer is not responsible for the macabre and horror that you are about to witness. Viewer discretion is advised.
Haha. That is the trailer that I still have up because I was testing it. We're gonna go watch that trailer here shortly after we discuss. But welcome, guys. Thank you so very much for popping in here wherever you're watching from. And yeah, plus 20 yesterday too in the snow. Yeah, it's just ridiculous today. It's just ridiculous. All right, good morning, my daywalkers, and welcome back to Coffee Chat of Horrors. Today we're diving into the world of spooky smoke, buzzing seats, and skeletons on wires. Yes, so we're talking about the one and only William Castle, the master of movie gimmicks. He is one of my favorite directors in horror. He has created such an amazing gimmicks for when his movies play in theaters, and they're brilliant. They are brilliant. That's William Castle. I've seen. Yeah, William Castle came out around, well, he was doing movies around the same time as Alfred Hitchcock, so they kind of played off of each other. And he did things like Alfred Hitchcock, but what set him different from everybody else in the 1950s and the 1960s is his gimmicks. He is known as the master of gimmicks. He grew up in the Orson Welles era as well. So that should give you a little bit of information on how he was with his own productions and films. Hello, M. Horn. How are you? Okay, so you may not know. Born William Schloss Jr. in 1914 in New York, and he was orphaned at the age of 11. Castle dropped out of high school at the age of 15 to work in theater. He came to the attention of Columbia Pictures for his talent for promotion, and he was hired with Columbia Pictures. When he dropped out of school, he went to the local theater. And that's at 15. And he started learning the ropes at a very young age by working in the theater, right? He was orphaned. His mom passed away. So he didn't have the easiest of lives, especially growing up in the 1920s, the 1930s. Yes, he is a fellow New Yorker, 100%. But he pulled himself out of that and worked all the way up to director, producer. He worked for Columbia Pictures. And before all that happened, he was an aspiring artist as it was. And he was in Greenwich Village at the time. Now, this is before Greenwich Village was Greenwich Village. It was actually up and coming Greenwich Village, right? So he was there at the start. And if you don't know much about Greenwich Village, it's an artist's area. It's filled with artists from all different modalities trying to make it. Fiery Smurf, thank you so much for your 30-month resub. Mwah. Thank you, thank you. So he was at the very start of Greenwich Village, and the landlord, who was really amazing to these people. So this landlord rented a place where all the artists came to live. And if you were a little late on rent, that's okay. That's okay. This guy, the landlord, believed in what these artists were doing. And because of that, William Castle was able to build a career in filmmaking. So that's really inspiring to come from nothing to build yourself up to be something, and the master of gimmicks, right? The Pontypool scene of the infected with their palms. Yeah, is radio. It is very amazing, Kirby. Definitely. Hello, Justin. Besides the ridiculously iconic Rosemary's Baby, my dad used to make me watch 13 Ghosts. He was so bummed by the remake. Yeah, the remake was good, though. I mean, when you separate it in the eras, right, Justin? And that's really cool. Your father had you watch Rosemary's Baby. He produced Rosemary's Baby in 1968. So he got a job with Columbia Pictures, and he was doing promotions and fun things like that. Then the next thing you know, he's working his way up the ladder and creating movies. And in 1958, he came out with this movie called Macabre. And he worked with Lloyd's of London. I don't know if anybody here knows who Lloyd's of London is, but he worked with Lloyd's of London for this movie where they handed out $1,000 certificates of life insurance to every moviegoer. So if you were going to see the movie wherever this event was going to be, you were given a certificate of $1,000. Thank you, Sick Nasty Ant. Thank you very, very much. Thank you so very much for sacrificing a soul. Mwah, I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Much appreciated. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, they are big insurance people. So during this time, he utilized this gimmick to, one, pull people into the theater and to give you an experience. His movies were an event and an experience. They weren't just a movie. You weren't going there just to see a movie. You were going there and you were going to have an experience of sorts. And we're going to get into his experiences. But with that, could you imagine that hype for that movie, going in to see Macabre and they're giving you $1,000 life insurance certificate that states if you die of fright, your family can hand this in. I don't know how they got, or how the legalities were, the small fine print. I would love to see one of these Lloyd's of London certificates. I would love to read the small print. I think that would be an amazing piece of collectible to have in your collection. As a collector myself, I think that would be like a holy grail. Or have one of the Tingler setups that they had in the movie theater. Yeah. He did such a great job. Now, the idea of hype is, oh, I puked, or I have to leave, the movie was so scary. Yeah, right, Deadwalk? It's just lame nowadays. Lame. Where are the William Castles of this era? I don't know. Lloyd's of London. Yeah, Lloyd's of London is a big insurance company. And yeah, he worked with them. They did this gimmick together, and I'm sure William Castle had to give Lloyd's of London some kind of money in exchange. I'm sure they had a lot of legalities, a lot of fine print, because you know people, even then. And at this time in 1958, this stuff wasn't being done. This stuff was next level. This kind of gimmick, these things weren't being done. So when you hear a movie is giving out life insurance certificates for a movie, that's going to drum up attention. Remember, we didn't have the internet back then either, right? So that was pretty amazing. Jeremiah, hi, how are you? Now, like I said, he was inspired by Orson Welles. And if you don't know who Orson Welles is, Orson Welles was an author. You guys have heard of War of the Worlds. Well, it started out as a radio broadcast back many, many moons ago. And it scared the shit out of people because this was at a time where television wasn't a thing yet. All uncertainty was around, and this story played on the radio station like it was a real news bulletin, and it scared the crap out of people. People swore there were aliens down, and it's the War of the Worlds. It was insane. Now, of course, there was a movie made. There's obviously a book, but then there was a movie made, the original. Then it was remade again, and then it was remade again. But another person who was ahead of their time, Orson Welles. Orson Welles is probably the greatest radio writer of all time. Oh my God, right? Hi, Naomi. How are you? Lloyd's of London have some pretty severe conditions to collect. I remember a lot of the college football players take it out the season. They're eligible for the NFL draft. Yeah. I don't know a whole hell of a lot about Lloyd's of London, but I just thought that was amazing. I'm glad you're doing well today, Jeremiah. William Castle is a self-taught filmmaker who leaned a lot into campy and crowd-pleasing fun. He's seen his movies coming out of wherever it was, he's seen what he wanted to do for that movie. And Rob White was a huge writer for William Castle. Hey, Speedy, how are you? How are you doing? Yeah, Darkbreaker. I'm not huge into musicals, so I didn't see it. Hey, Chloe, how are you? This one looks better. The movie? Yeah. Oh, really, M. Horn? Well, maybe we can have a discussion about it sometime. Where was I? So yeah, William Castle was a self-taught filmmaker. He learned on the fly. He leaned into campy fun and crowd-pleasing fun. He worked with a guy named Rob White. Now, Rob White did write 4 of the movies that William Castle has directed and produced, or has directed. Now, last night we were watching the Tingler in the Discord with the Horde, and I mentioned something to the point where Vincent Price's character always ends up with marrying a woman who is either bitter or self-loathing, or she's just not too kind to Vincent. And as I was reading more about Rob White, I come to understand why he wrote the women the way he did is because he disliked women. If you've ever seen any of Rob White's films, House on Haunted Hill, Macabre, The Tingler, you can definitely tell the women in the main character's life is not as loving. Like, it's not as loving. He doesn't portray the women as loving, respectful creatures. And the more I read about Rob White, it blew my mind. Rob White had several horrible marriages and divorces, right? And the way he looked at women was not in a respectful way. So when he wrote his scripts, he wrote them the way he's seen women and the way he portrayed a married couple. So you're going to see like a pattern here with the 4 movies. And I said something to that effect last night because I'm just noticing that now because I watched The House on Haunted Hill and I watched The Tingler. The Tingler was actually back to back with House on Haunted Hill, but I only watched The Tingler with the HORDE. On one hand, it wasn't too hard to see why the wife in The Tingler wasn't happy, but the film did make her out to be the bad guy. Exactly, Deadwalk. And in House on Haunted Hill, the wife is the bad guy. Well, portrayed as the bad person, right? So you can kind of see where that is. Now, I think William Castle kind of knew that Rob had this misogynistic view of women or hate view of women, and he utilized that to his benefit because his movies are great. Hello, Diella. How are you? I mean, Pacify on Xbox. Oh, nice, Chloe. Now, you hear me say that he is the godfather of gimmicks, and he is, because when he did Macabre came out in 1958. Like I said, Lloyd's of London, $1,000 life insurance certificate. That's when he realized the power of bringing the audience into an experience. And that is when he started to do his Percepto in The Tingler. He started to do the Emergo in House on Haunted Hill. He did a ton of things to bring the audience to have an experience. And he even said, when you come to see one of my movies, you're not just seeing a movie, you're going to have an experience. This is an event. This is something that you're going to remember. Yeah, you didn't know. Yeah, so the House on Haunted Hill, I did a CCOH on the House on Haunted Hill, the remake and the original. It should be on my YouTube channel somewhere, but I did a deep dive into Vincent Price as well. Hello, Mac Attack. True art. Hold on, let me just see here. True art lets you see the small pieces of the artist. Yeah, exactly. Even in movies. 100% Mac Attack. 100%. I love Straight Jacket with Joan Crawford. Yeah. Joan Crawford was a special woman of her time. The way she treated and cared for other actors and actresses, nobody does that. But that's a whole nother story, Joan Crawford. I like deep diving and I like reading about different celebrities of yesteryear. And Joan Crawford, if you haven't had a chance to know who Joan Crawford is or see anything about her and you're kind of interested, go to Google, type in Joan Crawford. There's a couple of good things about Joan Crawford out there on the internet, some documentaries as well, some of the movies that she was in. Not Squirrel. I know it's not Squirrel Time yet. 8 seconds. Just got done watching Steven Seagal zombie movie, and oh my god, it was so bad. That doesn't sound right. Steven Seagal in a zombie movie. But yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, we'll get to Squirrel here in a minute because an ad is going to happen and we're going to get to Squirrel. I'm excited to Squirrel. Hi, Milton. How are you? Good day. Welcome in if this is your first time here. I am ReAnimateHer. I am a horror lover and a fanatic. And today we are discussing one of my favorite horror directors, William Castle. If you enjoy horror, then you're definitely going to want to pull up a chair and stay. Apparently, there's another House on Haunted Hill in the works. One of Vincent Price's family is behind it. Yeah, it's a possibility. There's a possibility. I can see that, but the original is amazing. The remake isn't horrible either, and you can tell the remake gave a lot of homage to the original House on Haunted Hill and to Vincent Price. Against the Dark? Yeah, I've never seen that. Against the Dark. Interesting. Have you ever watched Dead Rising? I've watched all of the Dead Rising films. Hello, Son of the Maniac. My favorite William Castle movie is House on Haunted Hill. Nice. I think I saw the remake, House on Haunted Hill. Yeah, most people have seen the remake. A lot of people haven't seen, the younger generation hasn't seen the original House on Haunted Hill, which I would highly suggest. But yeah, I couldn't tell you like horror. I know, right, Speedy? so excited to talk about it. It is squirrel time. Yay. I get to squirrel like a mofo. You like Creepshow? Nice. So we have an ad that's going to be ending over on Twitch. So I squirrel. I go off the rails a little bit. We talk about other things than the movie because I don't want to put it behind a paywall. If you're watching me on Kick or YouTube, they don't have ads. You can't beat the original. No, you can't beat the original. No disrespect. I didn't care for the remake. The remake wasn't bad. I loved the fact that they paid homage to Vincent Price, to William Castle. I love the fact that they gave it the respect it deserves. Nothing is going to beat the original House on Haunted Hill, especially when you learn about how that film was made and what budget it had. All of William Castle films were low-budget films. Hello, Wickedy, Speedy. Thank you for being over on Kick. Same thing with Dead Walk. Thank you guys so much for watching me over on Kick. I do appreciate the chitter chatter that you guys are doing over there too. How you doing, Wickedy? You should see Kick's stuff on the overlay here too. All right, are we back? Are we back? Welcome back from that ad break. Okay, so William Castle, one of his most famous films that a lot of people know is House on Haunted Hill. House on Haunted Hill came out before the Tingler, and he created this thing called emergo. And it's where a skeleton went flying over the audience. Now, when William Castle released his movies in the theater, it wasn't like nowadays. It releases all over the world, internationally, yada, yada. They would release in specific areas. So these specific areas, he would have set up different kind of gimmicks. And with House on Haunted Hill, there's a scene in this big house where this skeleton comes up out of this vat of acid, and this acid and you know, Vincent Price is trying to get rid of his wife, and his wife is trying to get rid of him. So this whole big thing. Now, I don't understand who has a pit of friggin' acid in the bottom of their home, but this guy did. Anyways, this skeleton, when that scene happens, the people in the audience, now remember, it's pitch black. Pitch black. The opening scene in House on Haunted Hill. Just imagine yourself in this movie theater. Pitch black. The screen is black. You hear these screams and howls and other things coming from different sides of the theater. Then the screen lights up. A floating head here. More screams. Another head here. Another head here. Another head here. This is something people are not used to. This is not something people have seen before. And then the next thing you know, he pulls this gimmick in the Tingler as well, right? Now, the movie starts, and people are now invested. Now they're already on edge. Tension's already in the air. You can feel it. They're already on edge. Then, as they're invested in this film, this skeleton comes out, and the skeleton comes flying down and across the audience members. Can you just imagine the energy in that movie theater at that time? Like, what? Wait, doesn't everybody have a acid pit in their house? Right? No, I just have a morgue. Right? Who needs an acid pit when you can have a morgue? You mean you don't have a pit of acid? No, I don't have the space for that. But my morgue does benefits. Holds in smells. You don't know they're down there. Keeps the meat fresh. I Saw What You Did is another one of my favorite William Castle movies, along with The Tingler. Nice. They created a remake of House on Haunted Hill. Yes, they did. And also, I like the fact that Vincent Price was in a bad guy in the movie House on Haunted Hill. Yeah, I need a bigger house then, you know? If I need a pit of acid. I mean, I guess that can get rid of the leftovers. Hello, Unsigned. How are you? Hi, Moon over Miami. Good day. Good day. If you're just joining us, we are discussing William Castle. Now, in The Tingler, which came out a little bit later than House on Haunted Hill, The Tingler had what was called Percepto. Now, there was a few things that William did for this movie. And I believe this one opened up in San Antonio, in the theater there. And out of the 300 seats, 18 of these seats had this vibrating electronic device that you did not see as a moviegoer. You had no idea it was there. So he had 18 seats throughout the theater connected to this vibration shock thing. Not to hurt anybody, but in the movie The Tingler, it has a lot to do with vibration and this creature that has, it's a nasty looking creature, man. And it has huge strength, and it lives off of fear. So if you can't scream, it lives better off of that, right? If you scream, it kind of freezes. And the precursor to rumble in controllers, exactly. So now the Tingler. So think about this. William Castle had 18 seats set up with this buzzing electrifying thing that when a certain part in the movie, someone would flip a switch and these people would get like a vibration on their butt, right? But not only that, he also had a puppet in the theater on a string that would come out at a specific time when people are watching the movie. This would have blown your mind. Now, you're watching The Tingler. You are in certain parts where there's a vibration and an electrical current kind of deal happening in the movie. The seats would do their thing, and people would be like, oh my God, right? Then there's a scene in the theater where the movie playing itself is in a movie theater. Vincent Price takes the Tingler and into the box office because the box office's husband's wife is dead. It's a whole big story, but go watch the Tingler. Anyways, the Tingler is in this little handmade box, and Vincent Price puts him down. The Tingler somehow muscles his way out of this box. Now they're inside of a movie theater. Now the moviegoers are watching the movie that is in a movie theater, and the Tingler gets out. And hey, James, now they're looking for the Tingler in the movie theater. And they make it seem so real because they stop what's actually happening and they say something to the theater goers. So now the theater movie goers that are actually in the movie theater are watching this emergency broadcast in the theater as they're watching this film. Next thing you know, of course, the Tingler comes out and runs across, and some girl screams. Of course, at that time, the little friggin' puppet runs across people's feet. And of course, they're screaming in the actual movie theater. So I don't know, could you just imagine to be in that time, to be there in that moment when that was happening? Man, if they do that now, you would have 100 times more people go to the movies, possibly, or suing, right? One or the other. But it would have to be set up correctly and properly in order for that to be done. In The Tingler, every William Castle movie, he's very similar to Alfred Hitchcock. If you've ever seen an Alfred Hitchcock movie, Alfred Hitchcock comes out onto the stage in the theater and he does his schmeal, he does his thing. And a lot of the times, Alfred Hitchcock also does a cameo in every single one of his movies. William Castle does the same thing. William Castle has a very same kind of Albert Hitchcock feel to him when he comes out on the theater and he explains his movie. And then he's like, enjoy the show. And he's also found in his movies as well. But he takes it up one notch, right? He takes it up one notch and makes it an experience for people. William Castle would love 4DX theaters. Yeah, he would. Yeah, he would, Pixie. Sort of, kind of, James. William Castle, literally, there's nobody like William Castle. There's nobody who does the things that William Castle does, not even right now. And I think if the movie theaters made a movie more of an experience and an event, I think it would be something. I know in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, when that was released, oh my God. Whatchamacallit went to movie theaters. O'Neill went to movie theaters to scare people as Nubbins Sawyer, right? But they don't really do that anymore. You don't see anything like that happening here. which is kind of sad, but I don't know. All you hear is like, puke bags. And in 1973, 74, The Exorcist literally had a huge gimmick. I don't know if you guys remember anything about The Exorcist, but The Exorcist did as well. Ed, yeah, yes. Suspicion, I think that's how you say your name. Welcome to the crypt. Thank you for the follow. Hey, Big Wild Blue, how are you? Hi, Galaxy. Good day. Good day. Ed Neal, yes, he played Nubbin Sawyer, and he actually went to a movie theater where this was playing, and I believe it was in Texas, and he dressed up as Nubbins, and he was scaring the shit out of people that the movie theater told him to leave. Yeah. I found a small solid TV stand at a Goodwill. GG's, James. That's awesome. Definitely Speedy. It's, before my time as well, only a few years before me. But The Exorcist did this very similar thing. The Exorcist created a panic with their movie. There were ambulances lined up outside of movie theaters. There were priests coming in and blessing movie theaters. In other countries like Chile and other places, they had groves of religious people blessing the movie theaters and handing out puke bags and doing all of that event to draw more eyes on the movie. Of course, The Exorcist, there was a lot of shit that went on during that time, but there was another example of a newer era pulling that off, because Castle was doing this in 1958. Rhea, what is that movie with Vincent Price? What is it called? Theater of Blood? What's that about? What do you mean? And you're still a good look. Well, thank you. It kind of looks like a giant centipede. It does. It's a nasty friggin' thing. Did William Castle ever had barf bags as a gimmick? No, his shit went up beyond barf bags. Like his stuff, he didn't deal with like little barf bags. He dealt in bigger events. So like I said, in Emergo and Precepto, these were different things. Hello, how are you? Graveyard Games. And I appreciate that, Son of the Maniac. Thank you. You'll have to repeat to yourself, it's only a movie. It's only a movie. Yeah. Oh, shitballs. Hi, babe. Get the hell out of me. What's that? Oh. Thank you, babe. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Heavy made me some breakfast. And of course, Loki came down here to try to eat it. He made me a steak. What did he make me? Steak. And oh my God, it's just meat. Steak and bacon sandwich. A girl loves her meat, man. I said I missed the movie last night. It was all good, James. You can check out the Tingler anywhere. It's for free. You can check it out anywhere. Let's just scroll up here. Not so well, dealing with a lot of emotional issues and other things. BL2 breaking, a waste of money. Oh no, can we get some juju for Galaxy Goddess, please? He can make you one, Pixie. Steak, bacon, cheese melts. Yes. Thanks, babe. Thanks. Big Wild Blue, I hope you're doing good. The Nightwalker is another William Castle movie. I've seen a lot of William Castle films, Son of the Maniac. He's, like I said, he's one of my favorite directors. I own quite a few of them. I don't own every movie, but I do have a lot of his. Which movie did you settle on watching? Oh, last night we watched The Tingler. Let's give some juju in the chat for Galaxy. Galaxy's going through some shit. No wonder why Loki came down. Yeah, because of the food. He's like, this bitch wants bacon. But we watched a Tingler, and we're talking about the William Castle right now, and we're talking about his gimmicks that he pulled for his theaters. Like I said, for the Tingler, he had vibrating seats and a puppet that ran across the floor in the theater, which was amazing. Now, he also hired audience participation to create more of an event as well. So he would hire fake nurses. Some were real nurses, some were fake nurses. He would have death waivers, things that people would have to sign before going into his movie, saying that, you know, they won't sue the movie theater if they die of fright. He had all these different things. The Blob's a great movie, the original and the remake. I did a deep dive on Coffee Chat of Horrors on The Blob, a double feature. If you want to check it out, it's on my YouTube channel. I deep dive the shit out of both films. Question, was the movie Matinee somewhat inspired by him? I don't know. I'd have to look into that. You mean the new movie matinee? The Giallo kind of? I'm not sure which movie. You love the remake? Oh my God, you have to see the original. The original is great. William Castle was going to direct Rosemary's Baby, but what's his name? Cry Like a Baby. Yeah, he didn't get to direct it, but he did produce it. And at the time when he worked for Columbia, he wanted to produce a lot of his own movies with Columbia, but Columbia had it in their clause that you weren't allowed to produce and direct your own movie. I don't know if that's changed, but that was one of the things back then that they had in their contracts. You weren't able to produce and direct. It was one or the other. Well, there's a new movie, a matinee. And it came out in 2021. Hey, Reaper, how are you? By the way, Reaper 1923 creates these visuals that you see right here for me to use in CCOH. He's been doing this with me for like 7 years. Thank you, Reaper, for all of your hard work and artwork in these pictures. Hello, Basement Cat. How are you? Okay, so he hired people to do audience participation because he wanted an event. He wanted people to remember his movies, and what a better way to remember his movies, right? Than that. And I think that's pretty awesome. There wasn't anything William would not do to get people to sit in the theater. He would go above and beyond. It didn't matter if it cost, the cost of it. He wanted to give people that fun, get them in their seats, do these kind of things. He was also a really good man. There was a story that his daughter was telling in one of the videos where he had a maid. And this maid was stealing money. And he didn't know at first it was the maid, but he did some things and found out that the maid was stealing some of his money. So instead of firing her, he sat her down and asked her, why? Why are you stealing from me? I give you a job. What's going on? So she explained that a family member was severely sick, and the money that she was taking from him was helping with the medical costs. Instead of firing her and handing her over to the police, he said, I will help you. And he gave her the money that she needed to get the medical attention for her family member. And that blows your mind. But it doesn't really, because someone who struggled when he was younger and getting into the business, he had help. Do you know what I mean? That landlord, he must have remembered back in the day when he was struggling, trying to make it. He had a landlord that said, you know what, you can't pay rent this month. You're a little shy. It's all good. You still have a place to lay your head. You still have a place to rest, right? So to take on that and to have money now and see someone else who's struggling and to be able to help them out, that's fucking phenomenal. Like, that's phenomenal. Definitely Basement Cat whenever. Yeah, that is amazing, right? Just to know those little things about somebody who, he's a big time guy now. He's huge and he's got money and he's doing. I'm not saying it's right to steal. I'm not saying that. However, he's seen that she was struggling and the money that she was making as a housekeeper just wasn't good enough. And he decided to help out. And I thought that was a really nice story. I heard his daughter telling that story in a 2003 documentary about William Castle. If you guys want to check it out, I believe it's still on YouTube. But he definitely wanted people to have an experience, to have that event in life. Hi, Calico. How are you? So themes of paranoia, fear of death, psychological torment. It's his thing. And it's a perfect example on House on Haunted Hill. That movie had a lot of paranoia, a lot of fear, especially in the opening scene, like I said earlier. Straight Jacket, yes, Straight Jacket is a good movie with Joan Crawford. We just had a discussion about Joan Crawford. She was another amazing person, an actress as well. She actually looked out for other actors and actresses. If something didn't look right on a costume, she made sure that it was fixed. So the person that was wearing that costume didn't feel like a fool, right? That's a whole other story to talk about Joan Crawford. Some of the films that you may have seen, these are some of his bigger films that he directed himself. Homicidal from 1961 is another one I'm going to recommend. So House on Haunted Hill was 1959. Not everybody knows Macabre in 1958. However, Macabre was one of his first huge movies that he utilized his gimmicks for, right? Then you have the Tingler in the 1959, and then you have 13 Ghosts in 1960, Straight Jacket in 1964, Homicidal in 1961. Each of these had some sort of gimmick attached to them. 4 of the movies were written by Rob White, so you will see a pattern when it comes to the women in these movies. Hi, Reaper. How are you? And you may notice, hey, William Castle always had Vincent Price in his films. Why? Not because Vincent Price was a big actor of that time. It was the fact that he became friends with Vincent Price, and he really loved the way Vincent Price could portray a villain and an innocent man at the same time. He really respected his comedic value when Vincent Price brought the comedic value to the film. That is one of the reasons why he utilized Vincent Price so very much in his films. One, he respected him dearly, and they were friends. They were actual friends. And he just loved what he brought to the screen. Now, I remember listening to a documentary about, was it not John Waters? It was the guy who played the phlebotomist or whatever it was in the Tingler. That young man, I was listening to an interview with him, and he was saying that Castle didn't like to pay a lot of money to his actors. However, he got some of the biggest stars to be in his film of that time. And it's just because of how he treated everybody. He respected everybody. He knew each person brought something to the table that was going to make his movie phenomenal. And he's seen that every time he's seen Vincent Price. Every time he was to create a movie, he would visualize Vincent Price in that role. And Vincent Price did an amazing job in all of his acting because he was able to portray a villain. He was able to portray comedy. He was able to portray an innocent man. He did a lot of awesome acting. Vincent Price as another one. I've already deep dived him too. ReAnimateHer, have you played Back for Blood? Yes, I have. Tom Savini only has one PG movie out. Actually, next weekend we're deep diving Tom Savini, so you want to make sure that you're going to be here. Now, some modern directors. William Castle did influence some modern directors, like John Waters, Joe Dante. John Waters is another awesome guy. Hold on. That was good. House of Weenies. Exactly, Pixie. House of Weenies. I'll tell you my thoughts on it, actually, in a little bit when we do our actual just chatting part. I put an article about how Matinee was a love letter to William Castle. There was a lot of things inspired by William Castle and a love letter to William Castle. If you watch any of the remakes of his films, you will see it in there. House on Haunted Hill, 13 Ghosts, you will see the love and respect that these filmmakers had for William Castle and Vincent Price. Thank you so much for the likes over on YouTube. Seriously, thank you. Thank you for all of the engagement over there as well. I clicked the notification bell for that episode. Awesome, son. Thank you very, very much. We are live every Sunday at 11 a.m. Mountain Time for deep diving into horror. And I do appreciate the engagement and chatter over on the Kick side of things as well. So thank you guys. And on Twitch, I do appreciate it. Now, like I said, a lot of directors of this era were influenced heavily by William Castle. And John Waters, he's such a nice guy. He grew up watching Vincent Price and William Castle films. William Castle was one of his favorite directors as well. And he was highly inspired by what he does. And definitely check out John Waters. Now, William Castle, like I said, was ahead of his time. He paved the way for interactive cinema, not just horror cinema, but interactive cinema and immersive horror. Without these things, I don't think we would have come this far, so quickly, and utilizing his gimmicks that he did. And I honestly think if some of the directors pulled some of these gimmicks, they would have a lot of people in theaters. Now, mind you, William Castle's films weren't blockbuster hits. However, they got asses in seats. John Waters, so weird and wonderful. He is really weird and wonderful. Yeah, cats are assholes. Yeah, they are. I own 3 of them. You love 13 Ghosts? Yeah, the remake is good. I like the remake. I enjoy the remake for what it is, and I love the original 13 Ghosts. His films are definitely unforgettable. The way they were filmed, the direction, what he did in those, and he made sure his films were memorable. Hello, zombie. How are you? In my eyes, William Castle didn't just make horror movies, he made horror events. And honestly, I think we could use a little more fun and fear in theaters today, besides the whole this one puked and this one fainted crap, because most of the time they're not real. They're actors for these gimmicks. I think going that next step would be a benefit for quite a few people. Now, I'm really jealous of those people that have any sort of theater favor from William Castle films, because I know there are 18 seat buzzers floating around somewhere. I know there are Lloyd's of London certificates out there. I really want one for my collection. Was last night's movie night? Yes, it was. If so, did you? I actually streamed the movie. Yes, Galaxy. We streamed the movie, The Tingler from 1959. Now, today, Darkbreaker will be doing movies in the Discord. Serial Mom, yeah, movie of John Waters. Serial Mom is great. The reason I'm named Son of Maniac is because I like the guy who played the Maniac in the movie Maniac. Yeah, Maniac is a great movie. Hello, Ace. How are you? So I'm going to ask you guys, what is your favorite William Castle film? Like, what is one of your favorite William Castle films, and what is one of your favorite gimmicks that he did? I'll tell you one of my favorites. You already know I spoke about it 5 million times, is the Tingler. I'm going to showcase you the Tingler after this ad break. I'm going to show you the trailer for the Tingler because it is a good movie. A lot of these movies are now out of copyright. So you could watch them on YouTube. You can watch them on other places as well. House on Haunted Hill. Nice, James. House on Haunted Hill. So we got a lot of House on Haunted Hill fans. Yeah. Has anyone seen Macabre? Well, just a heads up about me. I will never be able to join movie night because I can't sit still and doing absolutely nothing. I have to be moving my limbs instead of sitting around, or else I get restless. It's all good, Galaxy. I get restless as well, but we chat in the movie nights, right? You love Macabre? Yeah, Macabre is great. I meant to say I look like Joe Spinello. Oh, nice. But I think a lot of people know House on Haunted Hill because of, oh God, everyone knows the House on Haunted Hill. Yeah. The House on Haunted Hill, I have to say, is probably one of the most famous William Castle films out there. Dead Night 1974. I like that movie, but I hated the scene where he killed the dog. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of that trope either. I don't like that trope. Animal death tropes, I think that's old and needs to go. There is no need to pull that kind of emotion from people. I Saw What You Did is a good one. I'm a weirdo. Serpent and the Nile is my favorite William Castle film. Ooh, nice, Pixie. In the House from original Haunted Hill. Yeah, the house. I don't remember. I'd have to go back through my notes. I think it is. It's really huge house. But I don't remember, to be honest with you. It's been a while. I deep dove House on Haunted Hill fuck, 2 years ago? Was it 2 years ago we did that? Double feature, House on Haunted Hill and the remake and original. You can find it, Chloe, on my YouTube channel. Yeah, while we're in an ad break, I'm gonna bite some more of this sandwich. Nobody likes that trope, Galaxy. I don't think anyone really likes that trope. And I mean, the 80s were huge for that. You know, Jason has not killed an animal in any of his movies, right? Unlike Michael Myers. That's another thing that makes Jason so fucking amazing, is that Jason doesn't kill any animals. Michael has killed quite a few. He has not hurt a dog at all. However, Michael, we know he kills the German Shepherd in 1978 Halloween. Yeah, Michael's a murderer of that sort. But that's what makes Jason so fucking awesome. Welcome back from that ad break. Back on the road. Michael eats dogs. Yeah, Michael eats dogs and he murders them. My bingo friends donated lots of wigs to me because of my cancer. That's good, Chloe. I'm glad. How are things going with your cancer treatment? Kill 1,000 humans and one dog, though. Yeah, you kill one dog and you're a fucking demon. You are a pariah. Kane Hodder was responsible for that scene in Jason Takes Manhattan. It's probably why he's my favorite. I love Jason Voorhees. He is my favorite. He's my favorite, and he's also Pixie's favorite. You have good and bad days? Yeah. Well, hopefully you have more good days than bad days, Chloe. I thought he killed that dog in Friday. No, he did not. The dog comes out at the end. Remember, the dog scares Jenny? He did not kill any dog. Rewatch that one. Rewatch that Friday the 13th. Rewatch it, and you'll see. Jenny gets scared because of the dog. Play me no sense that he didn't kill the Rottweiler in Halloween 2. Jason likes dogs. That's why I like him better, right? The scene where he kicks the boombox? Yeah. He should have just killed them. Jason likes dogs? Yes. Yeah, 100% Reaper, 100%. Okay, so, yeah. Let's take that is like the end of William Castle that I have for you guys. One of the little stories that I remember watching in the interview was his daughter talking about how he was friends with Cary Grant. And so as he's up and coming in the filmmaking world, he's made friends with people. Now, did you know William Castle did not drive? He has never driven a car. He does not drive. So when he was making his way through Hollywood, he made friends with some really big time actors, Cary Grant. And Cary Grant drove a Rolls Royce. And he would meet him at Schwab's, which was in California. You may ask yourself, how did he get to California? Well, he and some friends, oh God, let me tell you this story. Okay, so they're in New York. They need to get to California. They need to get to LA. They need to get into Hollywood. So what happens is he doesn't drive. A few other people didn't drive, but they had a friend who did drive. So now they're in this car. They road trip. It took them a while to get to California. I'm just going to tell you that now. They were arrested. They were put in jail for a few days. So that also hindered their plans. Anyways, him and this buddy, they get in the vehicle. William takes all of his props, all of his stuff. He's always been into like horror cinema and all this crazy stuff. So he takes all of his props and he shoves them into the trunk of the car. They had some car trouble and they had some issues as they were going to California. Anyways, they get pulled over in this small town. They get pulled over in a small town and they check out the trunk of the car. And they had realistic looking guns that were fake. They had body parts. They had all different kinds of things. So they were arrested and thrown in jail until they could prove differently. Finally, when they were released, they made it to California. But that's an adventure in itself. Yes, you do, Jeremiah. Yeah, they did love to do that back in the day, Speedy. I'm still trying to figure out how a landlocked lake in New Jersey leads to New York Harbor, further proof that Jason Takes Manhattan was all Rennie's nightmare. I would have to agree with you that it was a nightmare that was having, because remember, Jason was a normal little boy in Jason Takes Manhattan. How you doing, Dougzilla? Well, very wet, but fine. I don't think Paul Holtz died. No, I thought it was a hallucination. No, it's not a hallucination. The dog never died. And Paul, yeah, we never know what happens to Paul. But anyways, so William Castle had a very adventurous life. And like I said, he made friends with Cary Grant. And he would wait at the Schwab's store to get picked up in a Rolls Royce by Cary Grant. I think he led a very interesting life for a man of his stature. And it's really sad because he did pass away at the age of 63 years old, which is quite young if you think about it, right? 63 is quite young. We recently, may she rest in peace, we just lost Laura Park Lincoln. She played Tina Shepard in Friday the 13th. She was the female who was telekinetic. She just recently passed away at the age of 62, which is quite sad to see an icon like that. But I'm going to show you guys the trailer to the Tingler. If you're on YouTube, you may not get the sound. Just a FYI.
I'm William Castle, and I feel obligated to warn you about the next attraction you will see at this theater. The picture is The Tingler, which I directed. And for the first time in motion picture history, members of the audience, including you, will actually play a part in the picture. You will feel some of the physical reactions, the shocking sensations experienced by the actors on the screen. I guarantee that The Tingler has more shocks per minute than my last film, The House on Haunted Hill. But don't be alarmed. You can protect yourself. When you see the picture, you will be told, and remember the instruction, how you can guard yourself from attack by The Tingler. And now may I show you a few scenes from The Tingler?
Now, that is directly what you would see
Today's movie
in the movie theater. Is exactly that. Like you were as a moviegoer of that time would be sitting down, and that's exactly how it would play out to you. And he would tell you how to protect yourself is scream. That was really cool. They call me the Tingler. Hey, Zach, how are you? Yeah, she died of breast cancer at 63. Yeah, it's really sad. Her husband died of cancer as well. All that screaming was making my ears ring. A lot of screaming, man. A lot of screaming. My screenplay is kind of a direct sequel to Friday the 13th Part 2, and in the movie, Paul Holt is alive and well. You don't know is him at first. Oh, nice. I didn't know it was the one that played Tina Shepard. Yes. Mm-hmm. She played Tina Shepard. Okay, so let's end this part of CCOH so we can go into our just chatting scene. Thank you so much for sipping horror with me on Coffee Chat of Horrors. Next week, we look into another twisted mind behind the scenes and behind the lens, Tom Savini. So don't forget to hit that like button. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, and stay spooky, my friends. Okay. Now we can go to our just chatting scene. All right. Now, Tina Shepard. Let's talk about Tina Shepard here for a minute. Lar Park Lincoln. She brought a totally different final girl to horror, especially to the chapters of Friday the 13th. She was the first final girl to have any form of power to actually fight against Jason. She is one of the final girls that actually fights. Yeah, okay, so Janny and all of them, those final girls, they do fight off. They're fighting for their lives, but she actually takes the fight to Jason. And she brought something very unique to the Friday the 13th chapters that no other final girl has actually brought. It's a real sad shame that cancer has taken another one. So watch Friday the 13th and remember Tina Shepard. Yeah. Lara Park Lincoln was and always will be my favorite final girl. She was a great final girl. Like I said, she did so much for the Friday the 13th chapter. You love the telekinesis against Jason? Yeah. That was new. That was something that we haven't seen against Jason, right? We've seen everything else against Jason Voorhees. We've seen his own machete after him. We've seen all sorts of happy horse shit, right? But this is the first time that you've actually seen somebody take the fight to him, like in that sense. Tina Shepard. Chris Higgins did the most horrific thing to Jason, but Tina Shepard was the only one who was able to go toe-to-toe. Yes, Pixie, 100%. Like I said, there was no other final girl in the Friday the 13th chapters that actually brought the fight like Tina Shepard did. Yeah. A New Blood. 1988. Yeah, Chris Higgins, she did horrible things. Stay tapping. How are you, darling? Happy Sunday. Yeah, it's quite sad that she has passed away. Cancer is a horrible thing, man. But she was a great final girl. I'm just closing out some of my windows here so I can have all the chats on one screen instead of spread across two monitors. Usually when I do Coffee Chat of Horrors, I have two chats on one monitor and two chats on another monitor and all my information on the same one with the two chats. Yeah, I know. When Chris hung Jason and you saw his neck break, yeah, that was a horrible thing to do to Jason. Nice coffee chat. I post you a comment on Pontypool later talking about infected scenes. Yeah, no worries. No, this is my Coffee Chat of Horrors mug. It's got me as a werewolf. Probably can't see it all that well. I have 3 monitors, Galaxy. 3 monitors. I'd like to have another 4th one. Do I need a 4th one? No. Honestly, I would like a slave computer to where I could have a dual streaming PC setup that would take the graphic work off of my gaming computer So having a second PC to run my bots, to run OBS, to run all that shit, and then my main PC to run my games. What's the UFC fight last night and the Warriors game? It was a good day. That's awesome. Stay tapping. You watched it? I'm glad you had a good time. I want 3 monitors, but they are so expensive. I only have 2. I don't have expensive monitors myself. I bought these 2 slave monitors. It was like $150 at Costco, Canadian. Now, my main monitor here that you see is an MSI gaming monitor that Heavy got me several years ago for Christmas. Part 3, Jason scared me the most because he was a real guy. Oh, yeah. Well, you think about it. Jason Voorhees was real up until the end of part 3. He was a human man. There was no supernatural powers about him. He was a normal man. All I have is a TV and a laptop. I need a PC and some monitors someday. You will. You just want to use as much electricity as possible while you're hanging out with all of us getting another PC, right? You're about to clean the bong. Nice. Happy cleaning. Main monitors should be the biggest investment in terms of screens. 100% Deadwalk right there. The main monitor is where should be your most expensive monitor. You don't need expensive. These 2 monitors that are here. So I have my main monitors here. I have a monitor here and a monitor here. They're nothing special. They hold my chat. They hold my bots. They hold my faders, like my app for my Go XLR. They hold all of the stuff that's not overly as important to be on screen as my main monitor. My friend has a $15 bill. Oh, interesting. Oh, well, thank you, Kirby. Thank you very much. I appreciate that compliment. Thank you. Except for the fact that Jason died in 1957. Totally normal. Yeah. Well, you know. It's is $10 on the front and a $5 on the back. I've never seen that before. That couldn't be a legal tender, is it? But yeah, having like having 2 monitors is great. I started off with a TV and just a TV, my Xbox. That's how I started streaming Galaxy. I started off with a TV in my living room, a day 1 Xbox, and a Turtle Beach headset. I streamed like that for about 1.5 years. And then I had a really crappy laptop that I was able to put chat on the screen. So then I had a shitty ass laptop. And I streamed like that with a Kinect because I didn't have a webcam. I had a Kinect that came with the Xbox One. So when I was streaming, I was on my living room couch. I had a piano chair that held my my Kinect on with DVDs so the camera could see me. And I gamed and streamed with a Turtle Beach headset as a microphone and speakers. And I streamed like that for over 1 year. From there, I slowly built up, was able to buy, I actually had this microphone first. So this microphone is 8 years old. This microphone I had first was my first piece of streaming equipment. I couldn't use it, but this is my first piece of streaming equipment that I had. And then I slowly was able to buy a PC, monitors, and slowly in 8 years' time, with the help as well of the Horde, I have been able to upgrade my streaming set to where I am now. And it takes time. You don't need the latest and greatest equipment. You don't. You just have to start making content. The biggest things that you need to have that are most important, a good internet connection and good audio. That's it. Setups take time. I'm not rich. I'm not a rich bitch. So I couldn't go out and buy everything that I needed and wanted. Just doesn't work that way. I mean, if you have the money, sure, why not, right? I remember when you posted that photo of your old setup. Yeah, it's on my Instagram, the picture of my old setup. I also have a shopping addiction, so money doesn't last long with me. I give myself a budget. My gaming desk is a Laserdisc karaoke machine with 2 folding card tables beside it. that's all you need to start. You know what I mean? That's all you need to start. You don't need any fancy bells and whistles. I'm pretty sure I have posted it, Speedy, in Discord. I'll look again and I'll see if I can find it. You know what? Let me just take a look at my Instagram. I'll just go to my Instagram. I used to do Cranky's Reaper report on tablet. Now I do a CCOH on a multi-computer setup, right? It's pretty fucking awesome. We've all come a long way. Yep, this is a regular chat now. That's what I've been trying to do, is save money and give myself a budget, because I love spending money. Who doesn't love to spend money? I mean, seriously. I do have a budget. I do keep to a strict budget. Well, I have to, right? So I only get paid once a month. I get paid from Twitch once a month. That's it. So that once a month, you have to budget. I don't get a normal paycheck like I used to. Since I'm just doing my streaming now and I'm not working a regular job, I get paid once a month on the 15th of every month, and that money has got to last until the next 15th of the month, right? Devil dog. So I'm forced to utilize a budget. How are you feeling, Devil? How is your day going? I'm forced to use a budget because it has to go that way, right? I have to be responsible with my money, even though I fucking don't want to. And I want to order all those things I see that Nika is coming out with. God damn it, Nika. Damn it. That company is going to make me go broke. That's why I have to get my Substack going better. For sure, Chloe. For sure. A 100% they'd happen. The only time I get money right away is if someone donates to me, right? Tips me. You just got back from work? I'm glad you're feeling a lot better, though. I'm really glad you're feeling better. I just found an action figure from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4, even though I don't like that movie. Yeah, that's awesome. Sometime during the week, I'm going to pick up that. Oh, nice, Deadwalk. See, I want that too. God damn it. That's awesome. I needs to see it, Deadwalk. You needs to take pictures of it. I'm going to tell you, this was a really good sandwich. It's the same thing from YouTube. I only get paid once a month. Right? I cried when I heard, so did I. It was a very sad day when we heard that Tony Todd passed. Wow. I'm glad you got it though, Deadwalk. No. NECA. They do action figure toys for horror, things like that. No, I don't think so. Which was the pretty silly TCM with the pretty boy family member? The Next Generation? The Next Generation had, what's his name? Oh, my Lord. Yeah, he was fighting cancer. Yeah, son. They do, Pixie. They do. I have a lot of NECA action figures. I mean, the most of my collectibles come from NECA. 7 minutes. Thank you, Deadwalk. I believe you're talking about The Next Generation, Pixie. That's it. Matthew McConaughey. Matthew McConaughey and what's that girl from Bridget's Diary or some Bridget Jones? That Bridget chick, what's her fucking name? She was in it too. Nice day tapping. Renee Zellweger, whatever the fuck her name is. Most of mine are either Super 7, NECA, or Trick or Treat Studios. Yes. Oh, God. Trick or Treat Studios is another one. Super 7 as well. Deadwalk. I'm just looking over here. I'm just looking, right? I've got quite a few Super 7s. But NECA is like my biggest. Oh, McFarlane. Sorry, McFarlane is another one. What's this one? Hold on. I can't see what my my Army of Darkness figures are from. Yeah, some McFarlane Jasons too. Nice, Pixie. You love her. I have NECA Jasons because they are beautiful. He is beautiful. That's why I don't put the mask on. Hold on. This is why I don't put the mask on. This. I got fucking hiccups now. Look at that handsome face. I have McFarlane, Andrea from The Walking Dead. Nice, devil dog. Tony Todd was sick when you look at the trailer for the new. Yeah, you could tell. Definitely, you can tell. I first read that as have all the wankers. Your biggest collection is The Walking Dead is your biggest collection, and I have all the walkers. That's awesome, Deadwalk. I'd love to see your collection one day. Reminds me of Goosebumps Haunted Mask episode. This is the beautiful boy, Jason Voorhees. I have Little Pale Girl. Nice. I have Funkos. I have Funkos as well. You love Friday the 13th. So do we. So do we, Land. He is lovely. You should see the craftsmanship though of this mother. Like the eyelashes, his teeth, like everything. Do you know I carried this around for a while? He was in my bedroom. I would take him down into the living room. We watched TV together. I took him everywhere. Yeah, this is part 3, Jason. Yeah, this is Jason. Well, Jason's face changes through the chapters, right? But this is adult Jason, part 3. Part 2, he looks a little different. And when he is in 1980, he is a bit different than this one here as well. If you have enough room to display it properly, Super 7 alone keeps making it grow. Yeah, Super 7 is great. I have my Vampira is a Super 7. I didn't like Funko Pops at first, but they're cool. Nice, they tap in. I've got a lot of Funkos. Part 3, Jason Voorhees. Yeah, part 3. Friday the 13th, part 3, 3D. It's where he gets his mask. Hold on. This is a part 3 mask. This is an actual movie prop mask of part 3. Before you see the, I have another one over there from part 4 and then part 5. But, yeah. Hang on. There. Part 2, Jason looks like he's my twin brother. Oh, no. Part 3, Friday the 13th, part 3. Okay, so Galaxy, Friday the 13th has numerous chapters in it, right? So, there we go. Friday the 13th has numerous chapters in it. You have Friday the 13th, the first one where we meet Pamela Voorhees. She started it all off. Then you have Friday the 13th Part 2. We get to see Jason as an adult. He wears coveralls in that one and a potato sack. Then we have Part 3, which is in 3D. He meets up with Shelley Finkelstein. Shelley Finkelstein's the reason why Jason gets his mask. My Grella Friday the 13th things I have is a figure of Pamela and young Jason from 2015. That's awesome, Chloe. I have Pamela over here, and I'll have another Pamela coming. Part 6 is the most beautiful character ever designed. Part 6 is nice. You love Part 8? So the one Netflix has, I don't know what the one Netflix has. Galaxy? Remember the 3D craze? Oh, yeah. Yeah, now no one makes 3D movies. Yeah, there was a huge 3D craze. They were trying to get on. I have my 3D glasses for Friday the 13th Part 3. I'm just telling you now. I do watch Friday the 13th Part 3 with my 3D glasses. Yep. Okay, it is about that time. You know what? We'll discuss Friday the 13th on Monday. How's that? We'll talk Friday the 13th on Monday. I am. So is Pixie. I love horror. I live and breathe it. I'm a huge collector. And in my spare time, my hobby, I research it. I love learning about horror. I love learning about the gimmicks, how they use the cameras, how they come up with the movies. I enjoy all aspects of horror, every aspect that there is. But yeah, but when he came back and Jason Lives, he was a zombie Jason. So when Jason comes back, Jason's a revenant zombie, right? He's a revenant zombie. There are different kinds of zombies. He's a revenant zombie. But yes, he comes back. He's now all like supernatural. I love Jason X. I love Jason X. He's so mean and scary looking in that game. Well, if you like horror games, Dark Deception is good. I have the 3D TV solely for Friday the 13th Part 3. That's awesome, Pixie. That's fucking awesome. Happy birthday to your sister land. All right, guys. Thank you. Thank you so very much for watching this episode of Coffee Chat of Horrors. I know we only have possibly a month left of CCOH on Sundays, just because summer is coming. So we do have some upcoming people we are going to discuss. Today was William Castle. So thank you so very much for sitting here with me on Kick, on Twitch, or on YouTube to discuss William Castle and the Tingler, House on Haunted Hill, and many other amazing films. Next Sunday, we are going to be deep diving the godfather of gore, Tom Savini, and how he came to be the godfather of gore. That'll be next Sunday at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. I will have the next couple of CCOHs scheduled on YouTube. So if you're watching me on YouTube, you'll be able to click that notification bell for when I go live. We will be live on all platforms, obviously. And I want to thank you so much for engaging in the chat. Over on Kick, Deadwalk, Speedy, Big Blue, Big Wild Blue, Super Mario, 8-Bit. Thank you so very much for watching over there. And Son of Maniac, Macabre, Chloe, Naomi, Deadwalk. Thank you so much for Kirby for being over on the YouTube side of things. And you guys over here on Twitch. Thank you so very much. I really do appreciate all of the love and the support that each and every one of you give. Not only to this channel, but to this community. Thank you for making this community such an amazing community. Thank you for being here. Thank you for everything. And I'm very grateful to have each and every one of you in my life. Even though it may be the online life, I still appreciate you guys being in my life. Thank you for being here, Devil Dog. It's always a fucking pleasure to see you, my friend. It's all good, Gothic. If you've missed the live show, you can check it all out over on YouTube. We have an entire playlist dedicated to Coffee Chat of Horrors. So if you've ever missed any of them, go over on YouTube and click play all. You can listen to it like a podcast, and you can clean your house and do so many other things while listening to my show over on YouTube. Plus, it helps the channel grow if you do. Anyways, I hope you have an amazing rest of your Sunday. I will see you guys Monday morning at 11 a.m. Mountain Time for Days Gone. remastered version. We're doing the DLC. We're going to dive into it. I'm excited to play it. I love your guts. Be kind to one another. Smile, because it's good for the soul. And I will slash you all later. Bye.